Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Dr. Wajid Shabir with another video on ECG. This is the ECG which we are going to discuss today. It is another interesting case with multiple findings in it. But before starting the discussion on ECG, as always, I would like you to pause your videos, note down the findings and diagnosis with yourself, and at the end of the video, compare your findings and diagnoses with what was discussed in this video. So let's start the discussion on this ECG. As you know, the first thing which we look at on ECG is rhythm. For rhythm, we look at lead 2, which is also known as rhythm strip. You can see a long lead at the bottom of ECG. This is called rhythm strip. As you can see that there are upright and prominent P waves before each QRS complex. Presence of upright and prominent P waves before each QRS complex means that this is a sinus rhythm. When we look at the lead 2 as a whole, we can find that the interval between QRS complexes is variable. It is not regular. Now, to find the cause of this irregularity between QRS complexes, we will look at the P waves. If you look at the P wave which is being encircled, the morphology of this P wave is different as compared to the P waves with normal morphology. Similarly, there is another P wave with different morphology as compared to normal beats. This is another abnormal P wave. Then you can find two QRS complexes with no preceding P wave in them. So these QRS complexes with P wave morphology, which is different from normal beats, is due to atrial ectopics. So this is basically a sinus rhythm with frequent atrial beats. Now the next step in ECG interpretation is finding the heart rate on ECG. For this we will select two QRS complexes with normal P wave morphology. As you can see, this is a QRS complex which lies on broad vertical line. We'll calculate the large boxes between this QRS complex and next QRS complex at 300, 150 and 100. The second QRS complex lies between 150 and 100. It is slightly less than 150 beats per minute. In such cases where the heart rate is more than 100, to accurately calculate the heart rate, we can use other quantitative formula, which is 1500 divided by number of small squares between two QRS complexes. So in this case, between these two QRS complexes, there are about 11 small squares. So by dividing 1500 by 11, we get a heart rate of 136 beats per minute. So this is a sinus tachycardia at 136 beats per minute with frequent ectopic atrial beats. Another noteworthy thing on this ECG is if you look at the amplitude of P wave in lead 2, it is quite prominent. It is about 2.5 small squares. Such prominent P waves in lead 2 are due to right atrial enlargement, and these P waves are called P pulmonale. Now next step is finding the axis on this ECG, for which we look at lead 1 and lead AVF. The net direction of QRS complex in lead 1 is downwards. Similarly, the QRS complex in lead AVF is also directed downwards. So the axis in this case is right axis deviation. The presence of right axis deviation on a ECG is indicative of right ventricular hypertrophy or pressure overload. Also, if we look at the anterior chest leads, which are V1 to V6, we can find poor R wave progression without delayed transition zone. The transition zone means the lead at which R wave is equal to S wave in amplitude. Normally, this transition zone lies at lead V3, V2 or V3, but in this case, the transition zone is in lead V6. There are multiple causes of delayed transition zone or poor R wave progression, which include ischemia, cardiomyopathy, COPD, etc. So to sum up the findings, there is sinus tachycardia with frequent premature atrial contractions, there is P pulmonale, there is right axis deviation with poor R wave progression and delayed transition zone. All of these findings, when combined, they are suggestive of COPD with enlargement of right ventricle and right atrium. So this is all for today. Hopefully you would have enjoyed this discussion on ECG. For more on ECG interpretation, kindly subscribe to this channel and stay tuned. Allah Hafiz till next time.